And a little bit of Maine news. The governor, Mike Myers. No, I mean Janet Mills, the best Mike Myers impersonator that I know. She had her state of the state address, and she basically praised herself most of the time. And it was only her second in-person state of the state address since she began, so that's an average of one per year. Wow, way to go. And this is from the Maine Wire. Never really looked too much at their stuff. I don't know how credible they are, but I listened to most of her speech. This is pretty lengthy, but we're gonna scan and get into a couple things. Governor Mills pitches $500 relief checks, new education and broadband spending in the state of the state address. So during her annual State of the State address, Governor Janet Mills announced her intention to return $411 million of the state's projected $822 million general fund surplus to taxpayers. These givebacks by direct checks to people will amount to $500 per person and will be distributed to an estimated 800,000 taxpayers in Maine to help offset the added costs. The governor's speech on Thursday was the first time Mills had a joint conversation with the legislature met in person for the address since the beginning of the pandemic. Now, it's just going on and on. She obviously talked herself up, and she's doing a lot of this stuff to appease to the leftist people that are basically, she's begging for their votes. Mills said her supplemental budget proposal, expected to be delivered sometime next week, will include $12 million to pay for child care workers. The governor credited the House of Representative Speakers Ryan Fecteau of Biddeford proposed legislation to provide pay increases for child care workers, and said she supports the proposal. So increasing the wages that people that work in child care will get, and maybe that is going to stop at a set amount of time. They're going to get used to getting paid a whole lot of money when there's a whole lot of people that already cannot afford to bring their children to child care. So what are they going to do when they get used to it and decide to say, yeah, well, we should charge more and make more money? Maine also said her supplemental budget will include money to fully fund universal meals in our schools. That is something that should have been done a long time ago. We should have, especially in public schools, we already pay for the public schools with our tax money. We should not have to pay additional money for the food that our kids eat at school because they're there for about 8 hours a day. Jesus Christ, why is this happening? And this is just part of a budget of excess money because they overtaxed the shit out of Mainers and took way too much money. And it might be something to do with federal money, too. Alright, Mills also announced that she wanted to use $20 million to make 2 years of community college tuition free to high school classes graduating between 2020 and 2023. Mills said students who enroll in full-time community college either this fall or next fall will have every last dollar of tuition paid for by the state. Students currently enrolled in 2-year programs also receive some help with tuition. We will cover the last dollar of your second year, she said. Mills talked about the student loan debt. Has been working on legislation to streamline Maine Opportunity Tax Credit. Okay, now this is something that all the liberals have been wanting, is a free college, and this is basically like a step towards it. And she's testing the waters with this kind of thing. No, if you want to pay for higher learning, go ahead and ruin your own credit for it. And if you want to be perspective and look at the outcome of your college tuition and what you're going to college for and the career field that you're trying to get to by using this college degree, you need to think about, is this really worth this much money? Am I going to be in debt for the rest of my life? Will I actually pay this off, or am I going to default on it? If I pay like 6 figures for an extremely long class and I get into my profession, will I make enough money to cover it? These are basic things. I did not go into college because I saw how much fucking money it cost, and I'm like, no, I would rather learn a trade or two or three or whatever. I come from the food industry, the automotive industry, and I work currently in the marine industry, building boats. Okay, like, I'm a craftsman. I've learned many different trades, and I can go work anywhere and do almost anything, which is amazing. It is an awesome thing to know what you're worth. This I don't like. I don't like throwing all the money around and whatever. There's this huge thing about the infrastructure that she wants to do, and some of this money could have went towards that. She announced her intention to allocate $50 million in state and federal funds to hospitals and nursing homes to sustain them through these difficult times. Mills offered no detail about what initiative those dollars would fund. She defended her decision to impose a vaccine requirement on healthcare workers and referenced old articles written by the main newspapers to note the state had persistent labor issues predating the pandemic. I really feel like if these nurses that have been around COVID for a long time and see the effects of it and probably have caught COVID and gotten over it many different times already, why should they be mandated? It's just ignorant. Maine is one of the bluest states for some reason. This one thing that I don't. We have Republican people over here, but the Republicans over here are not very bold, and they don't, especially the Republican representatives. They don't have a backbone, and they need to get one, or they're not going to be around for very much longer. Now, Governor Paul LePage, a formidable gubernatorial candidate for 2022, also issued a statement following Mills' address. LePage attacked Mills for touting the size of the budget surplus and the growth of the rainy day fund. Tonight, Janet Mills gave her re-election campaign speech in a building full of political insiders. It is fitting for someone born and raised in politics, instead of working to fully eliminate Maine's income tax like I proposed. Janet Mills is promising more and more spending, propped up with funny money from deficit spending out of Washington, D.C. However, no debt-fueled funny money from Washington, D.C. can paper over Janet Mills' failure to manage Maine's economy. Now, if you use government-funded money, and they almost always have some kind of clause and catch, you have to be doing something that they want you to do, and obviously, like, she is part of the narrative. She's following it pretty closely. And I don't know if there's a picture of it, but she was in doing her speech all fully masked and everything, and she was talking about loosening the mandates and whatever. But all these Democrats that are getting rid of the mandates, they're just getting rid of the mandates at the executive level, which is like the governor level. And they all say, "Oh, I'm just leaving it up to local guidelines now." So that means just about everywhere, everyone's just going to keep doing it. It's a comfort thing. It doesn't help you, but it makes you feel comfortable. So that's why people are still driving around with masks on while they're alone. It makes me feel very sad. Very, very sad for them. If you like this kind of crap, go ahead, like, share, and subscribe to everywhere that you're seeing this. I got it on most podcast platforms. I'm on YouTube and Rumble. Follow the Facebook page, because I want to know where you stand on all these issues. That's a good way to be able to contact and actually share your opinion on things. I actually welcome it. I encourage it. I want it. I want to know where everybody stands on all the things that I talk about. I have a point of view. It's pretty clear. I read the middle of the road on a lot of things because I can see sides, like points from both sides, but I'm pretty dead set on where I stand on things, and I'm pretty obvious about it. Like, I don't have any problem letting anybody know anything about where I put my foot down on whatever I'm talking about and where I stand on it all. But whether you're with me or against me or agree or disagree, I want to know. So I have a Facebook page, and I post all the same content right there. And it's a great place where in the comments and public posts and whatever, we can have an open and civil discussion about what you agree or disagree with, and what your thoughts were, or how you would approach something.